Okay, so we got to see what this word Mia and his, when it's used in the Greek. You got to go to the Greek, get the understanding. But see, people say they don't have to deal with the Greek, they're going to deal with what's written here, but let's find out. So we just read 1 Timothy 5, 3-16. It talks about honored widows and gives some qualifications honored widows should have. Verse 9 prohibits widows under 60 years of age from being taken into the number of the honored ones, and not unless she had been the wife of one. Strong's number 1520. Man. All scriptural references are from the King James Version. This is a New King James Version, 1992, Thomas Jefferson Incorporated, unless otherwise stated. Strong's number 1520 reads, his, H-I-C-E, was H-E-I-S, H-I-C-E, including the neutral, etc., H-E-N, hen, a primitive numeral 1, a, anonymous, certain, and abundantly, man, one, another, only, other, some. See also 1527, 3367, 3391, and 3762. If you don't, get these numbers, just go back, rewind it, and get these numbers. Strong's number 3391 reads Mia. That was his. Reads Mia. Mia. Irregular feminine of 1520. One or first. Hear that? One or first. A certain. Agree. First. One. Other. The word his clearly denotes the number one, while the word Mia can be translated to mean either one or first, depending on the context of its usage. With respect to the elders having one wife, the word used is Mia. It's not his, but it's Mia, which can be translated either one or first. With respect to the honored widows having been the wife of one man, the only translation allowed by the meaning of the word is the numeral 1. It therefore appears from the meaning of the words his and Mia, that's H-E-I-S and M-I-A in the Greek, that is, that in the case of the honored widows, one of their qualifications was having been the wife of one man, while in the case of elders, one of their qualifications was being the husband either of one wife or of first wife. This would appear to suggest that with respect to elders, if they had more than one wife, a qualification they had to possess was their still being married to their first wife. Scriptural uses of the Greek word Mia, M-I-A. Two separate scriptures can be examined to show that the word Mia, in instances where it has been translated one, could also have been correctly translated first. Revelation chapter 5 tells us that the scroll the Lamb took out of the right hand of him who sat on the throne had 7 seals. Revelation 6 and 3 states that the Lamb opened the second seal. Revelation 6 and 5 states that the Lamb opened the third seal. Revelation 6 and 7 states that the Lamb opened the fourth seal. Revelation 6 and 9 states that the Lamb opened the fifth seal. Revelation 6 and 12 states that the Lamb opened the sixth seal. Revelation 8 and 1 states that the Lamb opened the seventh seal. In consideration that with respect to seals number 2 to 7, they were all descriptively mentioned by number. And with respect to seal number 1, the word used was mia, which can be translated either as one or first. It appears to me that a better translation of the word mia in the context of Revelation 6 and 1 is first. But this would then tally with the consistency of the manner all the other seals were described when they were opened. Verses 6 and 1. A would therefore better read, now I saw when the Lamb opened the first seal. But that's mia right there, meaning first. Verses 9 and 12 reads, 1. Mia, woe is past. Behold, still 2 more woes are coming after these things. So we can say the first woe is past. Behold, still 2 more woes are coming after these. Verses 8 and 9, 8 and 1 states that the Lamb opened the seventh seal. Verse 2 states that the 7 angels who stand before Yahweh were given 7 trumpets. Verse 6 states that these 7 angels prepared themselves to sound. Verse 7, 8, 9, and 12 show the first, second, third, and fourth of these angels respectively sounding their trumpets. Verse 13 mentions an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth, because of the remaining blast of the trumpet of the 3 angels who are about to sound. Revelation 9 and 1 states that the 5th angel sounded. The events pertaining to the sounding of this 5th trumpet are then described in verses 1 through to 11. Verse 12. In talking of the trumpet just sounded, states that 1, mia, woe is past, with still 2 more woes to come. Verse 13 states that the 6th angel sounded, and various events are described from verse 13 through to Revelations 11:13. Revelation 11:14 reads, the 2nd woe is past. Behold, the 3rd woe is coming quickly. The 2nd and 3rd woe are clearly described by their numerical position in the New King James Version translation. The first one is not. It therefore appears to me to uphold the consistency of the descriptions of these woes, that the first woe should also have been so described in the New King James Version translation, and as the word mia was used, which can mean either one or first, depending on the context. The context in Revelation 9:12 clearly shows that it should have been rendered first rather than one. Therefore, Revelation 9:12 would better read, the first woe is past. Therefore, are also other scriptures. There are also other scriptures where the word mia, M-I-A, are used, and the New King James Version translators correctly denoted it to mean first rather than one. These are Matthew 28 and 1. Now after the Sabbath, as the first mia day of the week began to dawn, Mark 16 and 2, very early in the morning, on the first mia, that's what it says in the Greek, day of the week, Luke 24 and 1. Now on the first mia day of the week, John 20 and 1. Now on the first day of the week, mia used again, John 20 and 19. Then the same day at evening, being the first mia day of the week, Acts 20 and 7. Now on the first mia day of the week, 1 Corinthians 16 and 2. On the first mia day of the week, Titus 3 and 10. Reject the divisive man after the first, which is mia, and second admonition. See that first and second? See how they go together? There are other scriptures where the word mia are used and translators rendered it to mean one rather than first. These are Matthew 5:18, 36, and Matthew 5:18, 36, 17, 4, 17 and 4, 19 and 5 and 6, Matthew 20 and 12, Matthew 26 and 40, Mark 9 and 5, Mark 10 and 8, Mark 14:37, Luke 9:33, Luke 13 and 10, Luke 14 and 18, Luke 16:17, Luke 17:22, 24, 35, Luke 20 and 1, Luke 22 and 59, John 10:16, Acts 4:32, Acts 12 and 10, Acts 19:34, Acts 21 and 7, Acts 24 and 21, Acts 28:13, 1 Corinthians 6 and 16, 1 Corinthians 10 and 8, 2 Corinthians 11:24, Galatians 4:24, Ephesians 4 and 4 and 5, Ephesians 5:31, Philippians 1:27, Hebrews 10 and 12, 14, Hebrews 12:16, 2 Peter 3 and 8, Revelations 13 and 3, Revelations 17 and 12, Revelations 12 and 13, Revelations 18 and 8, 10 and 17. It is therefore clearly seen that the word Mia is translated either one or first, depending on the context in which it is used. With respect to the context of polygamy in the scriptures, seeing that it has been allowed by Yahweh and even practices within it regulated by him, it appears that the word Mia in the scripture 1 Timothy 3 and 2 and 8 and Titus 1 and 6 ought to have been translated first rather than one. Why honored widows had to have been the wife of not more than one man? With respect to 1 Timothy 5 and 9, why was it important that the honored widows have been the wife of one man and not more than one man? Because the law against adultery prohibits a woman departing from her husband and marrying another. For a woman who so does commits adultery and is an adulteress. It is not appropriate for the assembly of Yahweh to honor a woman who is or has been living the life of an adulteress. For Galatians 5:16-21 makes plain that those who practice adultery will not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. But those who practice adultery do not really worship the Most High, serving rather their own pleasures, thereby committing also idolatry and covetousness. With respect to 1 Corinthians 3, 2, and 8, and Titus 1 and 6, let me say this. Because if your husband die, you can become the wife of another man. With respect to 1 Timothy 3 and 2 and 8 and Titus 1 and 6, it was important that those to serve It was important that those to serve as elders be found not to be adulterers, for the same reasons as mentioned above with respect to honored widows. For the law against adultery prohibits a man from divorcing any wife of his own on a ground other than sexual immorality or adultery committed by the wife, and subsequently marrying another woman. For anyone who does so commits adultery. It is therefore important as ascertain whether a potential elder is still married to his first wife, for provided a potential elder has not divorced his first wife, nor placed her in a situation whereby she is likely to commit adultery, he has not committed adultery against her. It is even more important to ascertain whether a potential elder is still married to his first wife, rather than just whether he is married to one wife. For a potential elder could be married to one wife, yet be an adulterer, in that he has already divorced a woman he has previously been married to on on a ground other than adultery. He might therefore appear on the surface to be living an upright life, while in reality he is indeed an adulterer, violating the law against adultery. In this light, it is clearly seen that the word Mia in 1 Timothy 3:2 and 8 and Titus 1 and 6 ought to be translated first rather than one, for a more complete exposition of the law against adulteries. Look at the law of marriage and adultery and divorce. Conclusion. It should therefore be noted that Scripture does not prohibit polygamy, which is having more than one wife, that is one man marrying more than one wife. It does prohibit polyandry, that is one woman marrying more than one husband, while her first husband is still alive. But this is adultery. And specifically, Scripture, as seen from the examination of the above verses, does not prohibit elders in the assembly of Yahweh from having more than one wife. What it does prohibit is their committing adultery and being adulterers, such as by divorcing their first wives on a ground other than adultery, or putting them in a situation whereby they are likely to commit adultery. Elders in the assembly of the Most High can therefore have more than one wife. Just a little information there by Isaac H.O.D.C. So let's continue with our work here in the truth. Let's go back to the law. Deuteronomy 21 and 15. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn, because the hated one had the firstborn child. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he hath, for he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. See that? So the main thing we're looking at here, the law says if a man have two wives. And so we got to go through here and look at men having more than one wife. And it was more than just kings. A lot of you say the kings only ones that had it. No, it was more than kings. Let's look at 2 Chronicles 24. 2 Chronicles 24. And like I say, I'm not doing this to promote men having more than one wife. Because there's certain things that you need to consider before you even consider that. 2 Chronicles 24 and 1. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign. He's a king. And he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Sabiah of Beersheba. And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Most High all the days of Joash the priest. And Joash took for him two wives. Remember it said in verse 2? And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Most High all the days of Joash the priest. So he did what's right in the eyes of the Most High. Verse 3, and Joash took for him two wives, and he begot sons and daughters. See, as you see, whenever you get more than one wife, they always bring forth children. Okay, let's look at 1 Chronicles 14. 1 Chronicles 14 and 3. And David took more wives at Jerusalem, and David begot more sons and daughters. See? Remember Acts 13:22. Acts 13:22. And when he had removed him, when Most High removed Saul, he raised up unto them, the children of Israel, David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will. Most High found David, a man after his own heart, which is his own mind. Second Chronicles 13:21. But Uzziah waxed mighty and married 14 wives and begot 22 sons and 16 daughters. Woo. He married 14 wives and begot 22 sons. You see, notice when they had these wives, they bring forth children. And 16 daughters. 20 sons, 22 sons, and 16 daughters. Exodus 21. Exodus 21:7. Mind you, I must say that when H.O.I came on the earth, and Peter and Mark and Luke and John and Paul, there was no New Testament. They only had the law and the prophets to go by. They only had the law and the prophets to go by, period. Exodus 21:7. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, to be a servant to a man, she not going to go out like the men servants do. So lucky. If she please not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power. He can't sell it to a Gentile nation, saying he have dealt deceitfully with her. He lay with her, now he want to sell it. No, he can't do that. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he betroth her to his son, he got to deal with her as his daughter, the matter of daughters. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. So this here is a scripture that I think people look at in saying that if a man have more than one wife, he got to take care of her. He got to take care of all these women, and all they got to do is just kick back and don't do nothing. And because you say they see in here say that her raiment, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. So they said, oh, well, the man got to take care of all this here for the woman. Well, she ain't got to do nothing but let him take care of her. Now, this is talking about if he take another wife, you can't take away from that first wife you have. Her food, her raiment, her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. You can't diminish from that. You don't take from her because you got another woman. No, you can't take from her and give to another woman. It doesn't work that way. She can't be diminished. And if he do not these things, three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. You got to steal. Just talking about a maid, you really pretty much own her. You know? Like I said, and if a man sell his daughter to be a maid servant, a married servant, a maid servant, she's a maid servant. He lay with her, she become his wife. He tell you if she please not her master, who have betrothed her to himself. He done lay with her himself. He won her himself. Then shall he let her be redeemed. Sell her unto a strange nation or some other Gentile nation. He couldn't do that. So she's a maid servant. It's talking about here, not your wife that you married. She's your regular wife. This is a maid servant because he's taking care of her. He said if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. You can't diminish her. You can't take away from her so that she's diminished because you got another woman. No, it don't work that way. Deuteronomy 25 and 5. Because I say that, so now let's look at it, because that's like, let's go to the first commandment to the woman that the Most High gave out was to the woman. Genesis 3:16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. I mean, you know, her having a cycle and her having children. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. Them contractions are very hurtful, they say. And thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. That's the law. And because the Most High seen that Adam listened to his wife, this is what he told him, verse 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened, listened unto the voice of thy wife, listen to the voice of your wife, to think you're going to become gods, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. So the first thing he told Adam, because you listen to this woman. That's why men got to be aware of what the woman is saying, and being able to make sure they make the right decision from what she's saying. The woman that y'all want control over men, it tells you, you are an abomination. You are out of order totally in the eyes of the Most High, no matter how you look at it. That's why ain't no humility in that. Ain't no humility in that at all. You're not going to find that. That's not a virtuous woman. That's what it says in 1 Timothy 2 and 11. It said, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. That's a big problem with a lot of women. They can't keep their mouth shut. It said, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. Be quiet. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor usurp authority over the man. Hear that? They think they got authority over the man. He said, I don't want a woman teaching. Because when you start teaching this, so you know, you teaching men. You tell a man what to do. That's what happened. Listen, that's what it is. We went all the way back to the beginning. We know that Eve was dealing with the serpent. Follow what he said, let him lie to her. Then she brought it to Adam. But listen what it says. But I suffer not a woman to teach, this is verse 12, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived. The serpent didn't come to Adam. Eve came to Adam. But the woman being deceived was in the transgression. A lot of you women don't like that, but you got to eat it. Like when I teach, I'm teaching the men. We got to eat the whole thing. Ain't nothing we can let go by. We got to eat the whole thing. You got to eat it, women. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing. And we read about Rachel, our foremother. One of our foremothers, or one of the tribes, two of the tribes, I'll say. Ephraim and Manasseh. So it says, notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness and sobriety. You see what the Most High did to Rachel? She died in childbirth, having Benjamin. So it's like, you know, and then it tells you in Ecclesiasticus, in the Apocrypha, verse 25 and 24, it says, of the woman came the beginning of sin. That was from Eve. And through her we all die. Through her we all die. It says, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. To be able to go around and talk, run her mouth and talk stuff, whatever she gonna say. If she go not as thou wouldst have her, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce, and let her go. Now that's what the Most High just said. Her desire shall be to her husband, he shall rule over her. If they don't want that, then he say, hey, cut her off from your flesh. Because if they don't want that, they're gonna deal with what? Sin. Because the Most High said this, that's the first law that he gave. It was to the woman, then he told Adam, because you hearken to that woman. You listen to the woman. But women want you to follow them when they off. Nah. Prime example, we just seen it. We just seen it. 1 Corinthians 11 and 1 to 3. 1 Corinthians 11, 1 to 3. Be ye followers of me, even as I am of Mashiach Yahushua. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances. That's the order as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man. Hear that? The head of the woman is the man. And the head of Mashiach is the Most High. Okay? So, look at 1 Corinthians 7. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 10. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Most High. Let not the wife depart from her husband. Shoot, how many divorces you see in this world now? I don't like you, I'm gone. Shoot. Not let the wife depart from her husband. Most High hates separation. And what the Most High joined together, let no man put asunder, or no woman put asunder. It says, but, and if she depart, if she leave, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. So, it's saying here clearly, show me a scripture where it says, if a man depart, let him remain unmarried. Where's scripture at? Now you can't be married to a married woman. And like I said, I'm not advocating men going out there trying to get multiple wives. But it's in the law. We just read it in Deuteronomy 21 and 15. If a man have two wives. And we read in the scriptures as in this lesson where the Most High was whipped down with those that had multiple wives. Now I challenge you. I'm reading this in Corinthians. Is there a New Testament that a Mashiach could go to the book of Corinthians when he walked the earth? Or Paul that's writing the Corinthians? Is Revelations existing at the time we're reading in 1 Corinthians? It's a letter to the Corinthians. The Israelites that's in the land of Corinth. All they had was the law and the prophets. That's it. So when you look at the New Testament, as we like to call it, you have to remember there's no New Testament. There's only the law and the prophets. They read every Sabbath in the law and the prophets. That's what they read. That's what they went by. But some of you that are taken up a Christian type of mindset to pacify those that have a Christian type of mindset, or these different denominations or demoninations, you seem to exclude the fact that all they read was the law and the prophets. But those that we can read in this Bible, most people didn't have the writings of Paul. Paul sent these writings to the Corinthians. He sent the writings to the Thessalonians that live in the land of Thessalonica. The Philippians that lived in the land of Philippi. People in Thessalonica wasn't going to people in Corinth, wasn't going to the people that's in get the same thing as what's in Thessalonians? You gotta understand this. And still he had to go by what? The law and the prophets. That's it. That's all they had. That's all they had to go by. Period. They read the law and the prophets every Sabbath day. That was what they did. So, when you look at this, and you're trying to come up with something new, there's nothing new. Look, Acts 13 and 27. Acts 13, 27. This is H.O.I on the right hand side of the Most High. He ascended in Acts the first chapter, the 9th verse. Came back as a spirit, Acts the second chapter. That's another subject. He said, I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you. So, through the power of the Most High. Acts 13 and 27. For they that dwell at Jerusalem and their rulers, because they knew him not, nor yet the voices of the prophets, which are read every Sabbath day, they have fulfilled them in condemning him. Which was read every Sabbath day? Yet the voices of the prophets, where the prophets at? In the Old Testament, which are read every Sabbath day, they have fulfilled them in condemning him. That's all they had was the law and the prophets. That's it. That's it. But if you looking to try and come up with something new that we didn't actually operate as our custom, our culture, then yeah, you can find it. You become a Christian. You become you got to choose one of these denominations, one of these denominations, as it comes from. Demons and nations, denominations. You move the letters on, you got demon and nations. You can make it happen. You don't take a rocket science to do it. So, because it's not dealing with the truth. Now you telling me that the Corinthians had the same understanding as Revelations? From the first chapter to the 22nd chapter? The Corinthians had the same letters that went to the Philippians and Philippi, the land of Philippi, the Israelites that were in the land of Philippi. They all had the same understanding. It's written for us. We have all the information from the volume of the book. They didn't have that. You see what they read? Acts 13:27. For they that dwell at Jerusalem and their rulers, because they knew not him not, they know him, nor yet the voices of the prophets, which are read every Sabbath day. They have fulfilled them in condemning him. Now show me where Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Timothy, anybody get understanding of Revelations, first chapter to 22nd chapter. Or it was only a certain few that was able to even get the writings of Paul, understand it. You think everybody had the writings of Paul? No. No. Remember, you got 2/3 of our people. They was Greeks. They was Greeks, man. And the elders, look at this. The elders was like this. This is how they was rolling, similar to what you see now in this day. John 11:47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees of council and said, what do we? What we gonna do, man? Well, this man doeth many miracles. Talking about H.O.I doing many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. That's the problem. They're afraid of losing their power. And they say all men gonna believe on him, H.O.I. And the Romans, who are the Romans? The so-called Italian Caucasians. The superpower of the earth, who were ruling over us. The violent. The enemies, as H.O.D.C called them. The wicked, the devil, as H.O.D.C called them. He said, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. That's what they're afraid of. They're rolling with who? The Romans. Just like you have those right now of our people that's right in the government, they right in there with them. And you're going to see when this election year, the one that's running for president, they're going to run up all of it in the black churches, and whoever's depressed, they're going to have his chest sticking out like he's somebody. Now, I hate to say it, but, the people those 9 people that were killed in that church, that white boy went in there and they gave Burger King after he killed them. They probably felt the same way. Oh, look, we got a white boy coming in to have, Bible study and praying with us. So they finished having Bible study and praying, he killed him. Killed him. Why the scriptures say never trust thine enemy. But you don't know that because that's in the Apocrypha. That's not canon. So you don't know that the H.O.D.C call him the enemy. You don't know that he call him the violent. You don't know that he call him the devil. You don't know that he call him the wicked. You don't know that about that because you ain't teaching that. Because that's not the love that you say you got to bring forth. But that is love to know, to save your life. To be saved from your enemies and from the hand of all that hate you. Dang. Did you see they were rolling with the Romans? They were so concerned about losing their power with the Romans. Like people are today. They want pacified, man. People don't care nothing about you. Look what H.O.D.C said in Mark 10 and 12. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committed adultery. To the men, verse 11. And he said unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another, committed adultery against her. That's if she has not committed adultery. And that's if she haven't went to some other type of religion. Like we have now, all these different religions that we have. You in the truth, next thing you know, you into something that's making you be less than. You're not supposed to wear a dress. Now you're putting on pants and you're walking around. You elevate yourself over men. We just said a woman should not usurp authority over men, but men under you. Now you feel you just as powerful as a man. But when this go down, sad to say, man, it's gonna be a lot of, like he said, weeping and gnashing of teeth. It's gonna be sad. It's gonna be really, really, really sad. So let's look at Isaiah, the 4th chapter. Isaiah, the 4th chapter, and the 1st verse. Because a lot of people say that this is dealing with in the kingdom. So Isaiah 4 and 1 says, in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, I will eat my own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name.